Well, I'm here in the real flesh.
We can tell.
You'll let us know as who else gets on so we know who we're.
Yeah, well, I'll be taking this slide down. I'm just gonna leave it up here for a minute so it's out on the screen, and then you'll be able to see the matrix of everyone.
I'm here in the real flesh.
You are indeed.
Who was that sarcastic person?
We'll have to see. Debbie, how are you?
Doing well. Sorry, I'm crashing the party.
Yeah, I see you've logged in as Alan. I'm going to have to rename you here.
Oh, I just noticed that.
I don't know how that happened, but let me take a look
That's
at that.
because I'm using his login. It was shared with me.
Morning, Harry.
Good morning, Commissioner. How are you?
I'm pretty terrific. How about you?
Doing all right. Paul and I were nuts. We drove back to Virginia this week, so we've been here for 2 nights, and it snowed both nights. So.
Oh my gosh. Well,
Harry.
how's the baby?
We haven't seen him. We're going to see him tomorrow, so we had to get our baby fix.
Yeah. I'm having a new baby in my family. Did I tell you?
No, you didn't. Another one, boy.
A great grandbaby.
Wow, good for you. When is the baby due?
That's a good question. April 22nd.
Well, that's coming up.
Yeah, it
Good for
is.
you. Well, congratulations. I'm never going to catch up to you, but.
Oh, never say never. You never know. God works in strange ways.
We're going to have to get some twins or triplets in there to catch up, I think.
Good morning, David.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Yeah, I don't know. My lighting is all screwed up here. I'm not sure why. Morning, Jennifer.
Good morning. Happy Friday.
Yeah.
We do have a public comment line open, but I believe we have no public comment at this time. Terry Bowers is manning that. Terry, you just want to check in at this point. Anybody called in?
Has called in.
Okay. Coach Manuel is logging in now.
Good morning.
Cliff, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you now. Thank you.
Where's
Morning,
Ron?
Chris.
Hi, Alan.
Janet.
There, I see him. Hey, Ron.
Hey, good morning. How we doing?
Are you in Tallahassee or are you here?
I'm actually home. I got home last night, believe it or not. So
Good for you.
Andrew had a baseball game. It was important to be home.
I remember those days.
Everybody keeps telling me, Janet, one day I'm going to wake up and there'll be no baseball game practices or games to take them to. So enjoy it while you can.
Secretary Gwynn, are you there? I've promoted you to panelist.
I see his name.
I think he's there. Yeah, he
He's
had logged in as
incognito.
attendee, but he should be able to hear and speak later when he wants to.
We have about 2 more minutes. I thought I saw Jim Holton's name, but I don't see his
He is
face.
here. He's going to join us just by phone today, but he is on the line.
I'm on my phone only.
Hey, Jim, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
And Commissioner Rich McLean, I'm on also, just in audio.
Well, that's too bad. I like seeing faces. But good morning anyway, Rich.
Thank you. Good morning.
And did I see that Cliff is joining us? Are you there, Cliff?
He is there. He's on mute right now.
I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning. We haven't heard from you for a while. It's nice to know you're still around.
I don't know what's happened lately, but the entire Hernando County building development groups decided to go to work at one time. So it seems like all I'm doing is chasing priorities lately. But it's glad to be back and listening to the presentation this morning. I know it'll be a good one, certainly a necessary one, hopefully one that's not going to go anywhere. But thank you.
So with that said, Ron, do you want to go ahead and start the conversation off? I think you all know why we're gathered here today. And it's primarily to address the Jeff Brandis whammy that he filed this past week in the legislature. And maybe you can bring us up to date with where you are, Ron.
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chair and members. So Senator Brandis filed on Monday Senate Bill 1130, which basically would sunset TBARTA effective July 1st, 2022. He did not talk. I know he did not talk to the lobbying team. We've had rumors it's coming. I know I've talked with many of you on the screen here today that we've heard rumblings that Senator Brandis was going to file a bill. I do know that I believe he called Chair Holton and Chair Long prior to him actually filing it. Basically where we are at this point is it's a repealer bill. The bill has been filed in the Senate, was just filed. It has not been referred yet, which obviously means it won't even be referred until the next couple of weeks, which means the earliest it could be heard would be the first week of session. There is no House companion at this point. I'm not sure if Alan Susky's on today. I'm talking to some of our all delegation members from the region. A couple have been reached out to and they've said no. So the good news is we've had a few folks that have said no to filing the repealer bill at this point. So we'll keep our eyes out if there's a bill. My guess is that what Senator Brandis will probably try to do is potentially if Senate Bill 1130 doesn't make it to the finish line, which I think could be a bit of a challenge. If it doesn't make it, he'll probably try to do some version of an amendment on a transportation package that's moving that would also sunset it. So it's not only watching Senate Bill 1130, but more importantly, it's going to be watching potential amendments from Senator Brandis, which all of us here know Senator Brandis. He files a lot of amendments, so we'll have to be on our toes to be able to watch that. From a strategy standpoint, and I think that's why is really the purpose of the call today is this is kind of where we are is, first and foremost, we need to talk to Senator Brandis as an organization. I've already have that meeting request in. At a minimum, I think Chair Holton and Chair Long should be a part of that discussion. Obviously would welcome other board members, but really want to get an understanding from him. Why has he filed the bill? If he thinks we're not relevant, why is that? Make sure he has a full understanding of what we've been doing over the last couple of years. We have met with him numerous times over the couple of years, but he's been supportive of our appropriation, obviously, over the last couple of years. So kind of get changed and how much is he gonna push that? In addition to that, we need to meet with House and Senate leadership. That's something that we'll start doing over the next couple of weeks, just to get an understanding of where they are on this issue. Number three is after that is we need to meet with all the entire ball delegation. In Tallahassee, when it's a bill repealing an organization that's specific to a region, in many cases, legislators from outside that region are going to look to the members from that region going, well, is this a good thing or a bad thing? And so I want to make sure that we educate all of the ball delegation members on not only why it's a bad thing, but give them talking points on why TBARTA is relevant, which we've already started doing, by the way. Chris and David have given me some talking points, really kind of touting some of our successes over the last couple of years. We're going to refine those a bit, and we're going to push those out to the entire ball delegation. To timing's everything in politics. David was already scheduled to do some one-on-one meetings, some Zoom meetings with some of our ball delegation members. And so we're setting things right now. And next week, we'll probably have upwards of 8 to 10 meetings for David. I believe it's scheduled for next Wednesday. Obviously, the talking points for those meetings are going to be really 3 things, by the way. Number one, we have our Enabling Act bill that's been filed by Senator Roussine in the Senate and Representative Mariano in the House, making sure they're supportive of that. Number 2, obviously supportive of our appropriation of $1.5 million. And number 3, and most importantly, is to be not supportive of anything that would repeal TBARTA at any point in the future. So the last thing I'll add, Madam Chair, and I'll be glad to take questions, is business organizations are going to step up and obviously support us here. The Tampa Bay Partnership, I was on a call with them yesterday. They are going to be very vocal about the importance of keeping TBARTA in place. They were one of the founding, organizations that really pushed to have TBARTA created, back in 2005, 2006. So that they're going to step up. I know they've already talked to the St. Pete Chamber, I believe. So I do believe you're going to see some other business organizations be very vocal about the important role that TBARTA plays from a regional transportation standpoint. And that will probably start as early as next week. So I will pause there and see if you or any of the committee members have any questions or comments.
I would like to, let's make sure we're all on the same page here. And I would like to ask Chair Holton if he could share with the group the message that Senator Brandis is sharing, that you are 100% behind this bill. So Jim, could you share that with everyone so that we all know the appropriate answer to that?
Well, Senator Brandis and I talked about the bill. He filled me in on his concerns, which were basically efficiencies in government. He thought TBARTA had become duplicative, basically redundant and duplicative. I'm sorry, I couldn't get that word out. And overlap too much with what other agencies such as MPOs, local transit agencies, and the FDOT were doing. He said, look, if there are other efficiencies and better ways of delivering the services that we prescribe for TBARTA to do, that's what I want to see happen. And now you said, hey, what do you think about that? I said, look, if Jeff, we are a creation of the legislature. You prescribe our role in what we do here, and you basically define what the mission is. It's the will of the legislature to change our mission, to abort our mission, to enhance our mission. So I'm going to defer to what the group think of the entire legislature is in doing that. At this juncture, this bill just dropped out this week, so I haven't had a chance to fully discuss it with other members of the Senate or the House or other stakeholders. So I'm kind of in the process of doing the due diligence on that right now. But I think all of us need to certainly listen to the legislature, because again, they're the ones that created TBARTA, and they're the ones that certainly have the right to modify or change or get rid of our mission. So I think we need to pay them a great deal of respect and basically at this early stage listen to what everyone has to say from the House and the Senate.
Well, I agree with part of what you said, Mr. Chair, and I vehemently disagree with some of what you said, because our role as board members is not to just go along with whatever the legislature decides they think they need to do. For one thing, as a former legislator, I can tell you that most members are very anxious to hear from their constituents, and they want to know both sides of the bill, why it's a good bill, and then tell me why it's not a good bill, and what is it that I am missing. And in this particular case, I can share with everybody that when Senator Brandis called me, it was not to have a discussion. or even ask what I thought about it. He was simply telling me that that is what he was going to do. And I think that is, well, quite frankly, it seems a little bit arrogant to me, because from where I sit, being a member of this board ever since it was reconstituted and passed in 2017, I have not forgotten the shenanigans that Senator Brandis was trying to pull while we were in session that year in trying to waylay the passage of this bill. And it was only by the good graces of the House and a few members of the Senate that he was not successful. Ron, I don't know if you were paying attention back then. I think you were, but you remember that.
Madam Chair, I was not only paying attention, I was the one that had to negotiate the amendment between, if you recall, Senator Brandis, Tom Lee, and Jack Latvala at the time.
There you go. So with that said, I'd like to see, I see Mayor Kreisman has joined us. And so Mayor, do you have any input from your perspective as one of the largest cities in this region and how you think we impact the ability to get regional transportation done? Where did you go? Did you just hang up? What happened?
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Well, please weigh in for the benefit of all.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with your comments. I mean, Chair Holton, I don't disagree with you that the legislature has within its purview the power to either allow us to continue to empower us further or to revoke our ability to do anything and to dissolve. But I think it's incumbent on all of us as members of this board, those of us who are members and those of us who are supportive of regional transit, to be very vocal in support of TBARTA continuing. And we are not going to be able to have regional transit unless there is an organized, collaborative effort. And it isn't going to happen where the city of St. Petersburg is making its arguments by itself, the city of Tampa, Hillsborough County, Pinellas County, Pasco County, Sarasota County. It's not going to work if we're all individually out there speaking our own thing. It only works if we're unified and we're working together and speaking with one voice. And that's the purpose of TBARTA. And so while I respect the right of the legislature to do what they think is best, sometimes it's important for us to let them know what is best because they're not on the ground, we are.
And now, Secretary Gwynn, do you have any input from your perspective of where you sit? I know you're subject to the whims of the legislature probably more than anybody.
So, Commissioner, the only things I would say, we're obviously not going to take a position on the bill. It's a regional bill. What we would say, though, is that we are a regional agency. We don't look at local more, so we look at regional. And when TBARTA was first founded, you know, it was more of a transportation agency to look at perhaps even the precursor of a regional MPO that would help to plan out transportation projects regionally. So we absolutely support regional planning, and we will partner with regional planning. Depending on how this bill goes, there still needs to be regional planning for transit. I don't know if that would fall to the TMA or how that would go. I've been asked about the RRT project. You know, we're still continuing to build the elements of the RRT into our network as we're building projects. And I hope that one day there'll be some type of a use of those facilities. But it's also, you know, one of the things that we struggle with is that there is one county that's not necessarily been extremely supportive of RRT and figuring out how to get into the federal process under those situations. I think we need to find a way to get regional consensus behind a project. But as far as the bill goes, just don't know. I imagine that'll be something the regional will have to work on.
All right. Well, clearly, it seems to me that we have not done a really good job at sharing what we have been doing with our legislative partners. And that's a problem, because when you only start communicating with them when something like this has happened, you don't have a good base from which to start. So What's the plan to educate everybody, Ron?
Madam Chair, I wouldn't completely agree with that statement because we've met with just about every member of the ball delegation, at least one meeting over the last year when David and board members have come to Tallahassee. And in addition to that, we have sent, annual reports and other updates to the entire ball delegation as we put them out. So, but in addition to that, I agree that from a timely standpoint from a timeliness standpoint, I think meeting with the ball delegation as quickly as we can over the next month to make sure they know this is out there, and more importantly, that they're not going to support it, and make sure they know what we have been working on, reinforce what we've been sending them. I get, by the way, that look, just because we send them something doesn't mean they're going to read it, and meeting with them only once a year is sometimes probably not enough. But, we have been over the last, couple of years really sharing with them, especially going back to the $1 million that the legislature gave us from an innovation and technology standpoint, really sharing with them what we've been working on. So I think we really need to reinforce that and share with them that over the next couple of weeks as we head into session.
Commissioner Long, I just wanted to note that Commissioner Flowers has raised her hand and Commissioner Bellamy has just joined the meeting.
Excellent. Yes, I apologize, Renee. I should have recognized you immediately. But go ahead, ask your question, and then we'll go down to Commissioner Bellamy. And after that, I'd like Cliff Manuel to weigh in, if you wouldn't mind, Cliff, because it is my understanding that you have a personal relationship with the Senate president, and maybe that can help us here. So Renee, go ahead, please.
Morning, everyone. Thank you, Commissioner Long. While I haven't been a member of TBARTA for a very long time, I have been in elected office for a while and have dealt with transportation issues from a regional perspective, a state and national perspective. And I guess the part that really concerns me is that the regionalization plan that everyone has worked on really would allow for persons to seek employment opportunities across boundaries. And once we open up for COVID, and I am hopeful that with everything that's going on and an increase in vaccinations, that we'll be able to do that, people are going to start looking for employment. And for those businesses that did not survive the pandemic within their reach, they're going to be looking across boundaries. And so this organization has the perfect vehicle by which to make the regionalization of transportation and other opportunities available to people. And it is just yet another form of disenfranchisement for people who are seeking to utilize public transportation or another mode of transportation. But it also, I think, speaks negatively to all of the hard work that you all have put in garnering dollars, even on the federal level, and the potential for additional dollars to come so that we could really tie all the ends together. It would have been wonderful if Senator Brandeis maybe had requested a meeting with the committee or something to say, here's what I'm thinking about proposing, and, tell me why I shouldn't. That may have never happened, but that would have been really good to do if he was not fully aware of the impact that this committee has made. I don't think that we should just acquiesce to the fact that, they're the legislature and they get to decide what they want to do. That is true, but they also are voted in, like many of us on this line, and they have a responsibility to perform the duties that assist the taxpayers, the voters in this state. So I don't think that we should just say, because this is who he is, he gets to make the choice or they get to make the choice. We also have a choice, and we have to make that choice by utilizing our voice in a positive and respectful manner, but also in a way that shows them what the broader picture is. So it's coining that message that it's not just about the money, it's not just about TBARTA, but it's about the people that it affects. It may move heartstrings, it may not. But I think that is something that we need to consider when we're having those conversations with him, or putting forth any additional plan to be able to communicate why we are opposed, or why some of us are opposed to the bill. Thank you, Commissioner Long.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Bellamy, nice to see you this morning. Can you weigh in, please, on behalf of Manatee? You have to unmute. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Well, I'm catching up here, so I need to make sure I listen a little bit more. I just got in, so I apologize.
Okay, well then, Cliff, how about you weigh in if you would?
So I have to agree with you, Madam Chairman. I can't see any reason why we would sit back and let a Senate filed bill like this one destroy the work that's been put into TBARTA. I mean, TBARTA was formed to begin with the will of the people in Tampa Bay area that wanted it. The legislators just dream it up one day and invent it. It had a purpose, and it still has a purpose. Senators file bills all the time. I've seen many of them filed over the years. Some are good, some are bad. The bad ones that get filed, you have to work in unison against, and you got to put your voice forward, and you got to push it forward collectively. I don't know what all the senators think about Senator Brandis' bill, but I'm assuming it's not that popular. We certainly don't want it to grow wings, and those of us that have legislative friends need to let them know that we disagree with his bill. So I do not really agree with Chairman Holton on this particular issue. A lot of times he provides guidance that I think is good for the board, but in this case, if we truly believe in our mission statement and what we're doing, just assuming they can bounce it around Tallahassee and come out with something on the other side with no input from us, doesn't make any sense to me at all.
So are you in a position where you can have a conversation with President Simpson?
I am.
I think that would be very worthwhile.
I'm in a position with several, all of us know different. Yes, I am, and I will.
Thank you.
We all know, legislators that are in our region that, have different opinions about how things should be run efficiently. And I do agree with that point Chairman Holton made, that, we should have an efficient organization that people believe in and want to invest in, that actually has a purpose and solves the transit issues, as David Gwynn said earlier. But to lose our voice in Tallahassee on anything important to us just doesn't make any sense to me. So I would encourage us to speak out as a group and individually to protect the interests and the focus and the mission statement of TBARTA, because I think it's providing a regional transit planning tool that is needed, not just in the Tampa Bay area, but the surrounding counties that benefit from properly planned transit systems. I'm particularly like the transit planning that we're doing along the interstate with DOT. I think that, was born from the thoughts through TBARTA and funded in the study and the purpose. I think it's going to have a very significant footprint on part of the Tampa Bay area that wouldn't have been done without TBARTA. So I'm fully in support of voicing our position and sticking with it.
Excellent. So who hasn't weighed in that needs to weigh in? Harry, please tell us what's going on that might be able to help us in DC.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chairman. I'm not sure as much in DC it's going to help on this particular situation. I know we've been talking to David about some COVID relief issues, trying to help out TBARTA with that, and we'll continue to work on that, and we continue to get ready for an infrastructure bill after the COVID relief bill is done. So we'll be talking some more to you all about that. But I'm not sure, other than, weighing in maybe with the delegation, we could talk to the Congressman Christ and folks in the congressional delegation and ask them to weigh in with the legislature if you think that would be helpful. I don't know if Ron, if that would help you or not.
I don't think it would hurt. I think as many voices we can have coming from the region, talking about the importance of having a regional organization that is truly focused on transportation and transit, I think is really important.
I think we need to let our prior governor know also. Rick Scott needs to be brought into it and kind of focused on it. There's no reason why he can't provide input and direction. I certainly think he's still a big supporter.
And Cliff, in addition to that, I think Bill Galvano, President Galvano, who was really one of the senators back. I think he was, in fact, I think the senator that really founded kind of TBARTA. I've also, we're engaging him as well. So I'm sure he'll be talking to senators too.
Hey, Ron, it's Harry. Can you share whatever you're sharing, the paperwork you're sharing with the delegation, the legislative delegation, so we can share with the members of the House and Senate? That would be great.
Absolutely. And I'll share it with, I think when we make a couple of tweaks, I'll get it back out to David. I think it'd be helpful to get to the entire board to make sure we're all saying the same thing as well.
I think if you've put it in a format that's like bullet points, Ron, it'll excuse me, it'll enable all of us to speak with the same message. And I just really worry about the impact of our little quote unquote mouthpiece over in Hillsborough County. No offense to you, Rich, who is constantly berating TBARTA and working against us. I don't quite have a strategy how to mitigate that.
Hey, Madam Chair, it's Harry. Just one other point on that. Ron, maybe for the talking points, I think at least for the federal delegation, it might be helpful to emphasize to them that they know how important it is for a region to support transportation projects, that they're more competitive when they're regional and supported regionally. So that may be the point that the congressional delegation can make, Madam Chair, is that from a federal standpoint, it's really important for the region to speak with one voice when we're trying to compete for federal dollars going forward. So
Here, you're literally reading our talking points. There's 5 talking points, and the last one is talking about as a regional organization to be more competitive and going after regional projects, which leads to additional funding. That's perfect.
Right.
So David, do you, as the head of the organization, would you like to weigh in? Tell us what your thoughts are.
Yes, thank you. I know there's been a lot of outreach already. As Ron indicated, we have been pushing information out to legislators throughout the year, particularly the annual report. I know there have been comments about, TBARTA's accomplishments. What has TBARTA done? In the 2020 annual report that we put together, and I hope all of you have read it as well, is very comprehensive about all of the things that we have done. And, just to highlight a couple of them, the statute that was put in place back in 2017 when we became a transit authority, it specifically indicated that we needed to complete a regional transit development plan. And we did that this past year. We finished that. And another big milestone was becoming an FTA grantee, which the statute also indicated we needed to do. And we're very proud of that. Have made great progress on the regional BRT project. And then, I think one thing that gets lost in the sauce all the time, because people say that TBARTA doesn't operate anything. We don't operate any service. Well, we do operate service. We started it on December the 1st, the Regional Transportation Disadvantage Service, with funding that we got from the Commission of Transportation Disadvantaged in Tallahassee, which allows the transportation disadvantaged community to take cross-county trips, which, as you're aware, is an enormous barrier in Tampa Bay. It existed not only with local fixed route bus service, but it also exists with ADA service, and it existed in the TD community as well. And that helping the TD community get from one county to another is something that we're already doing. So, if this bill is allowed to move forward and passes, that's one key service that's going to get eliminated because we're not going to be able to continue providing that any longer. So, we've got some meetings that are scheduled for next week with Ron and myself to meet with some members of the delegation. And, I think we just need to keep beating the drum. I certainly am going to make all of these points to them. And as you all indicated, I think it would definitely be worthwhile for members of the board to reach out to everybody in the legislature that they know as well.
Thank you, David, for that. And I also would like to let everyone know one really important focus here when we're talking to Senator Brandes, for example. For as long as I have known him, he has been talking about and pushing the new and innovative technologies that are being developed almost on a daily, weekly basis as it relates to public transportation options. He never stops talking about that. And he was really excited when we launched the Sunrunner line and goes from downtown St. Pete out to the beaches, because that's the first leg of the 41-mile plan that we've tried so hard to get completed and start working on. Secondly, Senator Brandes was in the front row when we had the ribbon cutting of Miss Ava in downtown St. Pete. Do you remember that, Mayor? He was right there in the front row and he was so excited about it. Now we have an opportunity to work with Lilium, who's already signed a contract in Orlando. They want to come to Tampa, and then they want to come to downtown St. Pete and on down to Sarasota and Fort Myers. Now, from the Tampa International Airport to downtown St. Pete on Lilium, you can get there in 6 minutes. Imagine what that does for our economy in terms of our business folks coming in town for businesses and wanting to hop around the region. This is not a joke. And I have a meeting coming up to meet with the William people. What on earth am I going to say to him that we have a prominent Florida senator who now wants to do away with the very agency that is in a position to help us bring that to fruition? So I think that should be a really big resonating message with him, I would hope. And, God only knows what else is going to come on the horizon in the next 3 to 5 years that we can take advantage of. But we can't do that if we're not at the table. So.
Chairman Long, it's Cliff again. Would
Yes.
our strategy also include resolutions of support from our member counties and their commissioners?
Ron, what do you think?
I don't think that would hurt, again, because what we would then turn around and do is give those resolutions to all the members of that respective delegation. So I think that's another tool in our toolbox that would be helpful if each county commission would be willing to do that.
I agree.
Do we have maybe a draft of one that we could all send so that we're not asking our staffs to craft a brand new thing for us? It'd be helpful just to get it on the agenda.
Commissioner Bellamy is asking to speak.
Commissioner Bellamy.
Yeah, I kind of viewed a little bit. Good morning, everybody. Sorry for coming in late. I kind of viewed a little bit, and when I stepped out, I called Bill Galvano immediately to let him know what was going on. He said that to make sure it's clear that there's no House companion on this bill right here, and I'm sure most of us already know that. But one of the things that I think that we should emphasize on, just listening to Senator Galvano talk, he reminded me that this was, TBARTA, the vision and idea came from, legislators as well as community leaders, and a lot of businesses were behind this idea to bring TBARTA forward. I honestly think it's important for us to come up with that resolution so we can make sure, collectively we have a voice. But there needs to be some pressure, just like everybody else saying. There needs to be some pressure on Senator Brandes to, hey, what are you thinking on this? What is all this coming from? Because no one's, from what I understand, I've called and talked to a couple of people when I stepped down. No one saw this coming. So if any, and maybe I missed some of it because I came in late. But if anybody know where this is coming from, I think we need to kind of look at that from an angle of approach too. But making sure our business leaders are aware of what's going on and having them to have a voice as well as everybody on the call. I think that's very important. And all of us are saying the same thing, but I think when the documentation, when the letter or the resolution come out, obviously if someone can form one on how we get this message to him. And I don't think phone calls or emails are bad neither. He needs to we need to let that individual know that we don't appreciate this right here.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mayor, did you raise your hand? You have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Yeah, I did. I just want to make sure that if there's a draft resolution that's being prepared and provided to governments that cities, including St. Pete, are included in that, I'd like to take it to our commission, our council, for them to approve. Obviously, with Brandes being in St. Pete, living here, I think it's important for St. Pete City Council to weigh in. And just an FYI, I've already sent a text message to Senator Scott about this.
Okay, and maybe you could communicate with Mayor Castor since she's not on the line today.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
Thank you. All right. Do we have any more comment, any more thoughts that we need to?
So the drafting of the resolution, would Mr. Green be doing that, Mr. Pierce, or who would be doing that so that the language is cohesive when we're sending it?
Good question. Ron?
We can work with Chris. I mean, I think Chris could almost take the talking points and we can turn that into a resolution.
Okay,
We can do that.
okay. And that way, Commissioner Long could bring it before the county commission for.
So sooner rather than later, Chris, because it takes forever to get something on an agenda.
We'll be working on it as soon as this meeting is over.
Thank you. Mr. Secretary, do you have any further comments or thoughts?
Well, no, the only thing I'd say is obviously anything that promotes regional transportation planning is good for us because we do that as well. And if the region comes together and hopefully we can continue that. But that's all I really would have to say.
All right. Hey, Commissioner Starkey, my long lost friend, are you up to speed on what we've been talking about? I just now saw that you had come on.
No, sorry, I wasn't able to get on at the very beginning, and I can't put on my video because I'm brushing my teeth. But what was said at the beginning?
Well, we're talking about, I called this emergency meeting of the legislative committee because on Monday of this week, Senator Brandis filed a bill to do away with TBARTA.
Oh, I'm familiar with that. Yesterday at our MPO meeting, we authorized our chairman to write a letter opposing the dissolution of TBARTA. And I haven't seen the draft yet, but we'll be getting something out today.
Terrific. Do you think that your county commission would would send a resolution as well?
Yeah, but we won't be meeting for another week. But I'd be happy to bring that up. We didn't bring it up at our meeting. It happened that day, and we just missed bringing that up. We did talk about the dissolution of Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council.
Is that being driven by Mike?
Yes.
I thought so. So Cliff, there's another job for you and Catherine to talk to the president about that as well, because our regional planning council is thriving.
Agreed.
So
Mr. Starkey often has it right.
doesn't she though? It's why it's so much fun to work with her.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Bellamy would like the floor.
Commissioner Bellamy,
Yes,
please.
I just want to ask about a potential timeline of the draft. I know we have a board meeting coming up on Tuesday. I will mention it, but I would like to have something in hand so we can kind of, I can abreast my board of what's going on and then identify next steps from Manatee County also. Do we think we will have that by Tuesday, or do?
Now, that's a great idea. If we could get a sample draft letter listing the accomplishments, that would be easier for someone at TBARTA to do, and then we could get that to the counties and the cities, and they could, use that as a template to personalize something. I think that's a great idea.
Yes, because one thing that is really abundantly clear is that it's important that we all speak the same message as one collective voice.
Commissioner, I'll be working with David and Ron on that today. And I don't see any reason why a draft would not be available later today.
Excellent. So with all of that said, Ron, I think you have your marching orders. We want you to kill this bill sooner rather than later so that it doesn't get any legs. And while you're working on that, it wouldn't hurt for those of us that are familiar with the work of the regional planning councils to talk to the president about that as well. And my understanding is you're setting up a meeting for you and I to talk to him. Ron?
Yes, ma'am. Request is already in. So, and again, I would also maybe see if we want to have maybe one or two other members of the board join as well. So the moment that's said, I'll make sure that you and David know, and we'll see who else would like to join us.
Well, I don't want to give Alan Zimmett a heart attack and he's going to say, because we have to vote on these things, right?
Thank you, Commissioner. I was just about to say that.
I know, I could
One
see
at
the
a time,
look on your,
please.
I could see the look on your face. Okay, Ron,
Got it.
is there anything else from any of the other members for the good of the order?
Commissioner Long, I just want to remind you, when the agenda was posted, we posted that we would take public comment, and there are people on the Zoom meeting, so.
Oh, well, Cliff, you're falling down on the job here. I did not know that. I thought you said there was nobody here.
I said there is, before the meeting began, we had nobody on the comment line, but I think it would be good for you to ask now the meeting has started, Terry, if anybody wants to make public comment.
No one has made a public comment at this time.
We've had no emails and no one has called into the public comment line.
Okay.
Okay. All right, everyone. Well, I appreciate very much your taking your time on a Friday morning to join us for this meeting. I think it's been very productive and educational, and go forth and spread the word. We do not want to see this bill get legs. Oh, and by the way, one more thing that just popped into my head, that maybe it might be a good idea at somewhere along the line that we could turn this into a positive, Ron, because I remember a conversation with Speaker Sprouse a year or so ago when I was waxing on about finding recurring revenue for TBARTA. And he spoke about his desire to ensure that agencies had to come before the legislature every year and plead their case so that the other members would know what was going on with these agencies in their backyard. Those members who aren't quite as active as maybe some others are, it's not a bad idea that we revisit why we exist and make sure that we're relevant, right? Just a thought.
Yes, ma'am.
Got to make lemonade out of lemons. All right, well, I don't see any other hands raised. Chris, are there any other hands wishing to speak?
I do not see anybody else.
Wonderful. And Mayor Kreisman, you'll let Mayor Castor know about our conversation today?
I've already sent her a text message.
Terrific. Thank you so much. All right, everybody. See you next time. Nice
Thanks,
to hear
everybody.
from you, Cliff and Rich and Reggie, although Rich never weighed in. Do you want to now, Rich?
Madam Chair, thank you for the last comment there. Actually, I agree with a lot of the conversation that took place, particularly with Cliff and then of course with Ron Pearson and his strategy for going forward. I too will reach out to the folks in Hillsborough County and see try to get their thoughts. Like most on this board, I too support regional transit and believe it's entirely and incredibly important for this region right here to do that, just as David Gwynn mentioned, for a lot of different reasons out there. So I will definitely impress that on the folks I talk with and then try to weigh where they stand, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. And maybe you can put your brilliant mind to work and help us figure out a way to bring one of your commissioners over there more in line with our thinking.
Along just to share and with the group, I've been having conversations with Commissioner Gwen Miller from over across the bridge. And I know she does, in fact, even though her colleague that you're referencing doesn't. But I know Gwen does have a very strong passion for the mission of TBARTA and whatnot. So I'm happy to also talk with her and just keep her informed. That way, if anything comes up, you know, she can counter on certain conversations if they come.
That would be terrific. That's what we need.
Yeah, Gwen's very supportive. We've been talking about how we can work together on a lot of things for our community.
Good, excellent. All right, everybody. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you at our next TBARTA board meeting. Please make every effort to show up, okay? David, do you want to tell everybody when it is again?
Next Friday at PSTA, it'll be a physical meeting, committee meeting starting at 8:30, going straight into the board meeting at 10 o'clock.
And just so you know, in that boardroom, we have figured out how to have meetings there and be socially distanced, and everybody's got their mask on, so very safe. All right? All right, goodbye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.